Before we go into Mammoth Cave, do me a favor. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and if you've ever been caving. And if this story makes you afraid of echoes, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real military encounters. Now, let's begin the descent. I am Corporal David Reeves, United States Marine Corps EOD Specialist. I will explain why the National Park Service quietly closed off certain sections of Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, why some tunnels have been permanently marked as closed, why local cave guides vehemently refuse to take tourists deeper into the system, no matter how much money you offer them. It's not about safety, it's not about protecting formations, it's because of what lives down there, what's been living down there for longer than anyone knows. What calls to you from the darkness in voices you trust, in voices you love, in voices of people who are dead. And if you're stupid enough to answer, if you're foolish enough to follow those voices deeper into the caves, you'll never come back out. This happened in September 2023. 6 Marines on a cross-training exercise, cave rescue and confined space operations. Mammoth Cave seemed like the perfect location. Controlled environment, experienced guides, well-mapped systems. Safe. We were wrong. Our team arrived on a Monday morning. Me, Sergeant James Johnson, Lance Corporal Maria Martinez, Private First Class David Chen, Private Eric Williams, and Private Tyler Shaw. Standard team composition. We'd trained together for 18 months. Good Marines. Professional, experienced. Johnson was our team leader. 32 years old, 2 combat deployments, natural leader. The kind of NCO who kept his people alive through competence and careful planning. Martinez was our medic. 26, smart, thorough. Chen was comms specialist. Williams handled technical rope work. Shaw was our newest member, 21, eager to prove himself. And me, I handled explosives and breaching. But this exercise was pure rescue training. No ordnance involved. Our civilian guide met us at the visitor center. Thomas McCreary, 74 years old, third-generation cave guide. His grandfather had guided tours in the 1920s. His father in the 50s and 60s. Thomas had been exploring Mammoth Cave since he was 8 years old. If anyone knew these caves, it was him. "You boys here for the rescue training?" he asked, looking us over with eyes that had seen a lot of darkness. "Yes, sir," Johnson replied. 5-day exercise, confined space navigation, vertical rope work, emergency extraction procedures, standard cave rescue scenarios. Thomas nodded slowly. Mammoth's a good place for that. 420 miles of mapped passages, plenty of room to practice. But I need to tell you something before we go down. Something important. We gathered around. Thomas had a serious expression that made me pay attention. I'm from North Carolina originally, Appalachian country. I know that when old mountain people tell you something with that look on their face, you listen. Mammoth Cave is old, Thomas said. Older than America. Older than the Cherokee who use these caves for ceremonies and burial. Older than anyone knows. And in the deep parts, the unmapped parts, the parts where tourists never go, there's something down there, something that's been here longer than any of us. "What kind of something?" Martinez asked. "Don't know, never seen it, but I've heard it. My father heard it. My grandfather heard it. Every guide who's worked these caves for more than a few years has heard it at least once. We call it the echo, but it's not an echo, not really." "What is it then?" Chen asked. Thomas looked at each of us. "You know how echoes work. You yell into a cave, sound bounces back, you hear your own voice repeated. Simple physics, but in the deep caves, sometimes you yell something and what comes back ain't what you said. Different words. Different voice sometimes, Like something down there is answering you, talking back. Williams laughed. Come on, that's just acoustic tricks, sound distortion in the rock formations. That's what most people think, Thomas agreed. That's what I thought when I was young, until I heard it myself, until I yelled hello into a deep passage and heard come closer echo back in my dead brother's voice. Silence. The way he said it, calm and matter-of-fact, made it hard to dismiss. So here's the rule, Thomas continued. The one rule that every guide in this cave follows, that we teach every serious caver, that's been passed down for generations. Never yell in the deep caves. Never make loud noises in the unexplored sections. Don't call out, don't shout, don't try to test the echo, because if something answers back, if you hear it call to you, you'll want to follow it. And if you follow it deep enough, you won't come back. Johnson nodded professionally. Understood. We'll keep noise discipline. Good practice anyway for rescue operations. Thomas studied him. You think I'm telling old man stories, warning you about nothing. But I've been guiding in this cave for 56 years. In that time, 17 people have gone missing in the deep sections. Experienced cavers. People who knew what they were doing. They went into the unmapped areas and never came out. Search teams found nothing. No bodies, no equipment, nothing. Those people are still down there somewhere, and I think they followed the echo. We'll be careful, I said. And I meant it. Like I said, I'm from Appalachian country. I know these mountains have their own rules, their own dangers that science can't always explain. We spent the first day on basic orientation. Thomas showed us the tourist routes, the main passages, the emergency exits. Mammoth Cave is massive. The mapped sections alone could take years to fully explore. We practiced rope work in a section called the Bottomless Pit, navigated tight crawlways, learned how to move safely through water-filled passages. Everything was professional, standard training. By late afternoon, we were comfortable with the basic systems. Tomorrow, we go deeper, Thomas said, into sections that aren't on the tourist routes. That's where the real rescue training happens. That's where you learn what it's like when the walls close in and the darkness is absolute and there's no easy way out. That night, we camped at the surface, set up tents in a designated area near the cave entrance, made dinner over a portable stove, talked about the day's training. Old man's stories were something else, William said. The echo, voices in the dark, classic superstition. He believed it, Martinez pointed out. You could see it in his eyes. He really thinks something's down there. 17 people missing over 56 years. Chen did the math. That's one person every 3 years, roughly. In a cave system this massive, with hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, that's actually a pretty low rate. Probably people getting lost, falling into unmapped pits, getting trapped by cave-ins. Still, Shaw said quietly, 17 people. And they never found bodies? Cave systems are complex, Johnson explained. Water flow, collapses, secondary passages. A body could end up anywhere, could be washed into underwater sections, could fall into a pit that's never been accessed. It's not supernatural, it's geology. I didn't say anything, because I'd noticed something Thomas had said. He claimed he'd heard his dead brother's voice echo back from a cave. That's specific. That's the kind of detail you don't make up. Either Thomas was lying, and I didn't think he was, or he'd experienced something he couldn't explain rationally. Day 2 started early. We descended into the cave system before dawn, headlamps cutting through absolute darkness. Thomas led us past the tourist sections, through a locked gate that said, "Authorized personnel only," and into passages that felt genuinely wild, untouched, ancient. The temperature dropped. The silence became total. Our headlamps showed limestone formations that had been growing for millions of years. Stalactites, stalagmites, flowstone cascades frozen in rock. "This is the transition zone," Thomas explained. "Past here, the cave is less explored. We have maps, but they're incomplete. There are side passages, vertical shafts, chambers we've never fully documented. This is where we'll practice the rescue scenarios." We spent the morning on advanced rope techniques, rappelling into a pit called the Devil's Kitchen, practicing team extraction procedures, learning how to navigate by compass and map when visual landmarks disappeared in identical-looking passages. Lunch was MRES eaten in a chamber Thomas called the Cathedral. High ceiling, good acoustics, stable floor. We sat in a circle, headlamps pointed at the ceiling, and the reflected light created an almost otherworldly glow. "Can I ask you something?" Shaw said to Thomas. "You said you heard your brother's voice echo back. What happened?" Thomas was quiet for a moment. "I was 19. Been guiding for 3 years. Thought I knew everything. My brother Jake had died 2 months earlier. Car accident. I was down here trying to get away from the grief, exploring a passage we'd found recently. Deep passage, maybe 3 miles from any entrance. And I was angry at Jake for dying, angry at the world, so I yelled into the darkness, just yelled. Let out all that rage." He paused, remembering. "And Jake's voice answered me, clear as day. Said, 'Tommy, come find me. I'm here. Come deeper.' That was Jake's nickname for me, Tommy. Only he called me that, and his voice sounded exactly right, exactly how I remembered it." "What did you do?" Martinez asked. "I ran," Thomas said simply. "Ran back to the surface fast as I could. Because even though every part of me wanted to follow that voice, wanted to believe Jake was somehow down there waiting for me, I knew it was wrong, knew it was impossible, and I remembered what my grandfather had told me about the echo. So I ran." "You think something was imitating your brother?" Chen asked. "I know something was imitating my brother. Because Jake was dead and buried. There's no rational explanation for hearing his voice 3 miles underground in a cave he'd never been in. But I heard it, and it wanted me to go deeper, wanted me to follow it into the unmapped sections. And if I had," he shook his head, "I wouldn't be here talking to you now." Johnson cleared his throat. "With all due respect, sir, grief can do strange things to perception. Acoustic anomalies in caves can distort sound in unexpected ways. You were processing trauma. Your brain might have interpreted natural echoes as your brother's voice because that's what you needed to hear." "Maybe," Thomas agreed. "Or maybe something down here is smart enough to know what you need to hear. What voice will make you follow it deeper? What words will make you ignore every survival instinct and walk into the dark?" That afternoon, we practiced navigation in a section Thomas called the Labyrinth. A maze of interconnecting passages, some barely wide enough to crawl through. The training scenario was simple. One team member would play injured, the rest would have to extract them through the complex route while maintaining proper safety protocols. Williams volunteered to play the victim. We positioned him in a chamber about half a mile into the labyrinth, then the rest of us practiced the extraction. It was good training. Challenging. The kind of thing that builds team cohesion and tests your problem-solving under pressure. We were on our 3rd iteration when Johnson made the mistake. We'd just successfully extracted Williams for the 3rd time. Everyone was feeling good, confident, the kind of confidence that comes right before something goes wrong. Johnson stood at the entrance to a side passage we hadn't explored, a narrow opening that led into darkness beyond our headlamp range. He was clearly in a good mood, pleased with how the training was going. "Hey," he called out, grinning. "Want to test Thomas's echo?" "Johnson, don't," I started to say. Too late. He cupped his hands around his mouth and yelled into the passage. Hello! His voice echoed into the darkness. We heard it bounce off distant walls, fade into nothing. Normal echo. Just physics. We waited. Nothing. Johnson turned back to us, still grinning. See. Just a cave. No mysterious echo. No voices in the... The sound came back. Not an echo. Not Johnson's voice. Different words. Different voice. From deep in that dark passage, clear and distinct, we heard, "Come deeper." It was a woman's voice, soft, inviting, almost gentle. And it was definitely not an echo of Johnson's shout. We all froze. Headlamps pointed at that dark opening. Nobody spoke. Because we'd all heard it. It wasn't one person's imagination, it wasn't acoustic distortion. It was a voice. Speaking different words than Johnson had said, coming from a passage that Thomas swore was unmapped and unexplored. "Everyone heard that, right?" Martinez whispered. We nodded, all of us. Thomas's face was grim. "We're leaving, now. Back to the surface. No discussion." "Wait," Chen said. He was recording everything on a digital audio recorder, part of the training documentation. "I got it on tape. We have evidence." "I don't care about evidence," Thomas snapped. "I care about getting you people out of this cave alive. We're leaving. Follow me. Stay together. Do not, under any circumstances, go toward that passage." We followed him, but I saw Johnson looking back at that dark opening. Saw something in his expression. Curiosity, interest, the look of someone who'd heard something intriguing and wanted to understand it. And I knew, even then, I knew this wasn't over. We reached the surface as the sun was setting. Thomas was shaken. More shaken than I'd seen him all day. "What we heard down there," he said. "That's the echo. That's what I've been warning about. You need to understand, that's not geology. That's not acoustic tricks. That's something else. Something that wants you to go deeper." "But what is it?" Shaw asked. "If it's not natural, what is it?" "I don't know," Thomas admitted. "But I know this. Everyone who's gone missing in this cave, they all heard it first. They all heard the echo call to them, and they all followed it deeper, and they never came back." That night, Johnson called a team meeting. "I want to go back tomorrow," he said, "with proper equipment, documentation, record what we heard, maybe explore that passage, figure out what's actually causing it." "Johnson, no," I said. "You heard Thomas. This is serious. People have died. People have gotten lost," Johnson corrected. "We're trained Marines. We have proper equipment, communications, safety protocols. We're not going to get lost." "It's not about getting lost," Martinez said. "It's about whatever that thing is, the voice. What if Thomas is right? What if there's something down there?" "Then we need to know what it is," Johnson replied. "We're not civilians. We're not tourists. We're United States Marines. We don't run from unknown phenomena. We investigate. We understand. We handle it." I could see he'd already made up his mind. Could see the same expression on Chen's and Williams's faces. They wanted to go back. Wanted to understand what they'd heard. Only Martinez and Shaw seemed hesitant, and me, but I was outvoted. "We go back tomorrow," Johnson decided. "Proper exploration, by the book. We'll be fine." Thomas refused to guide us. "You're making a mistake," he said, "but I can't stop you. You're military. You have authorization to be in the cave. But I won't take you down there. I won't be responsible for what happens." So we went alone, 6 Marines, into Mammoth Cave, following a voice that shouldn't exist, toward something that had been calling people into the darkness for generations, toward something that knew exactly what to say to make you follow it deeper. We should have listened to Thomas. We should have recognized the warning for what it was. But we were Marines, we were confident, we were trained, and that confidence killed 4 of my team. We descended into Mammoth Cave the next morning without Thomas. Just 6 Marines with full cave exploration gear, extra batteries, rope systems, emergency beacons. Everything by the book. Professional. Prepared. We were idiots. Johnson had mapped out our route the night before. We'd return to the labyrinth, to that passage where we'd heard the voice. We'd explore it carefully, document everything, try to find a rational explanation for what we'd heard. Then we'd return to the surface. Simple plan. Safe plan. It didn't work out that way. The descent took 90 minutes. Through the tourist sections, past the locked gate, into the wild cave systems. The cathedral, the Devil's Kitchen, the labyrinth, all familiar now from the previous day's training. We reached the passage at 0930 hours. The narrow opening that led into darkness. The place where Johnson had yelled, "Hello," and something had answered, "Come deeper." In daylight, well, not daylight, but in the rational mind of morning, it looked less ominous. Just a cave passage, rock, and darkness. Nothing supernatural about it. "Chen, start recording," Johnson ordered. "Martinez, Shaw, you're with me for initial exploration. Reeves, Williams, maintain position here. If we're not back in 30 minutes, radio for extraction." Standard procedure. Nothing wrong with the plan. Except we were walking into something that had been luring people to their deaths for generations. Johnson, Martinez, and Shaw entered the passage. Their headlamps disappeared into the darkness. We heard their boots on stone, their breathing over the radio, normal cave sounds. Williams and I waited, monitored our equipment, maintained communications. Everything was fine. For the first 15 minutes. Then Martinez's voice came over the radio. "Reeves, are you hearing this?" "Hearing what?" The sound, like voices, distant voices. "Negative. We're not hearing anything. What kind of voices?" Silence. Then Shaw. It sounds like my mom. That's not possible. My mom is in California. How would her voice be down here?" "Shaw, you're probably experiencing acoustic distortion," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. "Sound can travel long distances in cave systems. Could be tourists somewhere else in the complex." "No," Shaw insisted. "It's her voice. It's calling my name. Tyler, come find me. Tyler, I'm here. Come deeper." My blood went cold. Because Shaw's mother had died 3 years ago. I knew because he'd told us during training. Cancer. He'd taken emergency leave to be with her at the end. His dead mother's voice was calling to him from deeper in the cave. "Everyone return to this position," I ordered. "Now." "That's a direct order. Come back." "Wait," Johnson's voice. "I'm hearing it too. But it's not Shaw's mom. It's my dad. My dad died 8 years ago. But that's his voice. I know that voice. Johnson, get out of there, all of you, now." He's saying he's proud of me. That he knows I did my best. That he forgives me for not being there when he died. Johnson's voice broke. God, I needed to hear that. I needed him to say that. "It's not your father," I shouted. "It's the echo. It's mimicking voices. Remember what Thomas said. It knows what you need to hear. It's trying to lure you deeper." "But what if it is him?" Johnson replied. "What if somehow, some way he's actually here? What if this is real?" "Sergeant, you need to get your people out of there. That's an order." I heard movement over the radio. Footsteps. But they were going the wrong direction. Going deeper into the passage, not back toward us. "Martinez, Chen, report," I said. "I hear her," Martinez whispered. "I hear Sophia. But Sophia's dead. She died 2 years ago. Car accident. But that's her voice. She's calling me, saying she misses me, saying she loves me, saying come find her. Chen. My brother. My brother who died in Afghanistan. He's here. He's calling me. David, he says. David, come home. Come back to me. 4 Marines. All hearing voices of dead loved ones. All being called deeper into the cave. Williams, I said urgently. We need to go get them. Physical intervention. They're being affected by something. Williams nodded. Agreed, let's move. We entered the passage. Our headlamps cut through darkness. The walls were close here, maybe 4 feet across. Limestone formations created strange shadows. Water dripped from the ceiling. Johnson, Martinez, Chen, Shaw, respond with your positions. I called over the radio. Static. Then, we're following the voices. They're leading us somewhere, deeper. They want to show us something. Negative. Return to entrance immediately. Reeves, you don't understand. It's really them. I can feel it. This isn't some trick. This is real. They're really here. The passage split, left and right. We had no idea which way the team had gone. Chen, activate your beacon, I ordered. Every Marine had an emergency beacon that could be tracked. Beacon activated. Chen's voice came back. Distant now, echoing strangely. Williams checked his tracker. Signals coming from both directions. That's not possible. Chen's beacon should have one location. Unless there's some kind of signal interference, I suggested. But I knew that wasn't it. The cave was doing something, confusing our equipment, making it harder to find them. We chose the left passage, moved quickly but carefully. The passage descended, steep slope. We used rope for stability, went deeper, deeper. And then I heard it. My own voice, from the darkness ahead. David, David Reeves, it's okay. Come find me. I'm here. But it wasn't anyone I knew. It was my own voice calling to me from the darkness, like I was calling to myself. You hear that? Williams asked. Yeah, it's my voice. The thing is using my voice. Why your voice? I don't know. Maybe it ran out of dead people. Maybe it's trying a different approach. We kept moving. The passage opened into a chamber. Small space, maybe 15 feet across, and it was empty. No Marines, no equipment, nothing. Where are they? Williams demanded. The beacon said this direction. I checked my tracker. Chen's beacon showed him right here, right where we were standing. But there was nobody here. Then I looked down. There was a hole in the floor, natural shaft, vertical drop into darkness, maybe 3 feet wide, and rope tied to a rock formation, our rope, descending into that shaft. They went down, I said. They rappelled down that shaft. How deep does it go? I dropped a chem light, watched it fall. It disappeared into darkness. We never saw it hit bottom, never heard impact. Deep, I said, really deep. The radio crackled. Johnson's voice, Reeves, we found it. We found where the voices come from. There's a chamber down here, a big chamber, and it's beautiful. You need to come see this. Come deeper. Come deeper. The same words the echo had said yesterday. Now Johnson was saying them, like he'd been absorbed by it, like he'd become part of it. Johnson, you need to return to the surface. That's a direct order. I can't leave them. My dad is here. Martinez's girlfriend is here. Chen's brother. Shaw's mom. They're all here. We're all together. It's like a family reunion. You should come down. Bring Williams. Everyone should see this. His voice sounded wrong. Flat. Emotionless. Like someone reading from a script. Like Johnson, but not Johnson. "How deep is that shaft?" Williams asked me. "I don't know. Could be 100 feet. Could be 1,000. And we don't know what's at the bottom. We can't leave them down there. We might not have a choice. Williams, think about this. 4 experienced Marines descended into unknown cave systems following voices of dead people. That's not rational behavior. They're being influenced by something. If we go down after them, we might get influenced too. So, what do we do?" Before I could answer, the radio erupted with voices. Multiple voices, all at once. Our team's voices, but also others, dozens of others, hundreds, all saying the same thing in different tones, different pitches, overlapping. "Come deeper, come find us, come home, come deeper, come deeper, come deeper." It was overwhelming, chaotic, like every voice the echo had ever captured was speaking at once, a chorus of the dead and the lost calling from the depths. Then silence, complete radio silence. The radio still functioned. I could hear static, but no voices, no Johnson, no Martinez, no Chen, no Shaw. "We need backup," Williams said. "We need to get out of here, report this, come back with a full search and rescue team." He was right. We couldn't do this alone. We needed help, proper equipment, cave rescue specialists. But leaving meant abandoning our team, leaving them down there with whatever was calling to them. One of us goes for help, I decided. The other stays here, maintains position, keeps trying radio contact. That way we don't lose the location. "I'll go," Williams said. "You stay. You're better at cave navigation anyway. I'll move faster solo." I didn't want to split up, but he was right. Someone had to go for help, and someone had to maintain position. "Go fast," I told him. "Bring Thomas if he'll come. Bring Park Service. Bring whoever you can find. I'll stay here. I'll keep trying to contact them." Williams handed me half his water and extra batteries for my headlamp. Then he started climbing back up the passage we'd descended. And I was alone, in a chamber deep in Mammoth Cave, with a shaft descending into infinite darkness, with 4 of my teammates somewhere below, with something that called in voices of the dead. I set up position, back against a wall, headlamp pointed at the shaft. Radio on, waiting. Minutes passed. 10, 20, 30. Then the voices started again, but not from the shaft, from all around me, from the walls, from the ceiling, from the floor. My father's voice, "David, you were always my favorite son. I never told you that, but I'm telling you now. Come find me. Let me tell you in person." My best friend from high school who'd died in a motorcycle accident. "Reeves, man, remember that time we went camping? Best weekend of my life. I want to do that again. Come deeper. We'll camp together down here." My grandmother, who'd raised me after my mom died. "Sweet boy, my sweet David. Grandma's here. Come give me a hug. Come home. Come deeper." Every voice perfectly mimicked. Every memory perfectly recalled. The echo knew everything about me, knew exactly what to say, what voices would break me, what memories would make me follow. And God help me, I wanted to. I wanted to rappel down that shaft, wanted to find my grandmother, wanted to hear my father say those words he'd never said when he was alive, wanted to believe that somehow, impossibly, the people I'd lost were down there waiting for me. But I also remembered Thomas's warning, remembered his face when he'd told us about hearing his brother, remembered the pain of resisting something he desperately wanted to believe. So I closed my eyes, covered my ears, and I waited. The voices continued. For hours. Every person I'd ever lost, every regret I'd ever had. The echo used them all. trying to break me, trying to make me follow. Finally, I heard new sounds, footsteps, multiple people, voices that sounded real, not echoed. I opened my eyes. Williams was back, and he'd brought Thomas and 2 Park Service rangers and a professional cave rescue team. "They're down there," I said, pointing at the shaft. "All 4 of them. They went down following the voices." Thomas looked at the shaft. His expression was grim. "That's the descent. Local cavers have known about it for decades. We don't go down there. Nobody goes down there. It's marked as forbidden in all the old caver logs." "Why?" "Because 17 people have gone down the descent over the years, and nobody has ever come back up. The shaft goes down for over 1,000 feet, maybe more. Nobody's ever reached the bottom, or if they have, they never came back to tell about it. We can't just leave them down there." "We don't have a choice," one of the Park Service rangers said. "We don't have equipment to descend a 1,000-foot shaft safely. We'd need specialized gear, a full team, days of preparation. And even then, we don't know what's at the bottom." "So we do nothing?" Thomas put his hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, I warned you. I told you what would happen. But you're still here. Your friend Williams is still here. You resisted the echo. That's more than most people manage. But your team, they followed the voices. They went deeper, and the cave took them. We have to try." "We will try," the cave rescue team leader said. "We'll mount a proper search and rescue operation. We'll bring proper equipment, descending teams. But that takes time to organize, days at minimum. And I need to be honest with you, our success rate for deep cave rescues after this much time, it's not good." They evacuated us to the surface, sealed the passage, posted guards, started organizing a search and rescue operation. I was debriefed by Park Service, by military command, by people who didn't believe my story about voices and echoes and something that called from the darkness. They thought trauma, confusion, acoustic hallucinations. They thought 4 Marines had gotten lost in an unmapped section, and the remaining 2 had created a narrative to explain what happened. But I knew the truth, and so did Thomas, and so did Williams. The echo had called to them, had used the voices of people they loved, people they'd lost, and they'd followed those voices into the darkness, down a shaft that went deeper than anyone had ever measured, into parts of Mammoth Cave that had never been mapped, never been explored, into the place where the echo lived, where it had been calling people for generations, where 17 people, now 21, had disappeared without a trace. Search and rescue went down the descent 3 days later. Professional team, best equipment, full safety protocols. They descended 900 feet before finding the first evidence. Martinez's gear, harness, helmet, abandoned on a rock ledge. They went deeper, found Chen's equipment at 1,100 feet, then Shaw's at 1,200. At 1,300 feet they found Johnson's gear. And beyond it, the shaft kept going, disappearing into darkness that their lights couldn't penetrate. They didn't find bodies, didn't find any sign of what happened to the Marines, just abandoned equipment at intervals going deeper and deeper into the cave. The search was called off at 1,400 feet. The team leader reported that the shaft showed no signs of ending, that there were side passages at various depths that led to unmapped chambers, that searching them all would take months, and the danger level was unacceptable. 4 United States Marines vanished into Mammoth Cave, never recovered. The official report called it a training accident, said they'd gotten disoriented in an unmapped section, that they'd made poor decisions under stress, that the cave systems were too complex to successfully recover the bodies. But I know what really happened. They heard voices, voices of people they loved, and they followed those voices deeper and deeper into the darkness, until they were so deep that nobody could reach them, until they were part of the cave, part of whatever lives down there. The National Park Service quietly sealed that section of Mammoth Cave. They don't talk about it. They don't explain why certain passages are marked as permanently closed. They just keep people away from the descent and hope nobody asks too many questions. Williams and I were reassigned. Different units. Different bases. The Marine Corps doesn't like mysteries, doesn't like unexplained losses. So they separated us, kept us from talking about what happened. But I still think about it. Every day. I think about Johnson and Martinez and Chen and Shaw, about where they are, about whether they're still down there somehow, about what the echo did with them, and sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I swear I can hear them calling to me. Distant voices, familiar voices, saying the same thing the echo said. Come deeper, Reeves. Come find us. Come home. But I won't. I'll never go back to that cave. Never descend into that darkness. Never follow those voices no matter how much I want to believe they're real. Because Thomas was right. If you follow the echo into the deep caves, you never come back. And my team proved it. 3 weeks after the search and rescue was called off, Williams contacted me. Encrypted message. Burner phone. The kind of communication you use when you don't want official channels to know you're talking. We need to go back, he said. Williams, we can't. The section is sealed. We're under orders to stay away from Mammoth Cave. Command made that very clear. I don't care about orders. 4 of our team are down there. We abandoned them. We left them in that cave with whatever that thing is, and the official search gave up after finding their gear. They didn't even try to find the bodies. Because there might not be bodies to find. Because that shaft goes down forever. Because they're afraid, Williams interrupted. The Park Service is afraid. The cave rescue team was afraid. Everyone who knows what's really in that cave is afraid to go deep enough to find out the truth. But we're not civilians, we're Marines, and we don't abandon our people. He was right, and I'd been thinking the same thing for 3 weeks. Thinking about Johnson and Martinez and Chen and Shaw down there somewhere. Thinking about how we'd left them. Thinking about how the official story was a lie designed to cover up something the authorities didn't want to acknowledge. What's your plan? I asked. I've been researching Mammoth Cave. Old caver logs, historical records, interviews with people who've explored the deep sections. And I found something. Records from the 1870s. A geological survey team that went down the descent. Most of them died, but one guy survived and wrote about what he found. What did he find? A chamber. He called it the Ossuary, said it was about 1,500 feet down, accessible from a side passage off the main shaft. And he said it was full of bones. Human bones. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all arranged in a specific pattern, all facing deeper into the cave. I felt cold. The echo's been doing this for a long time. Longer than we thought. But here's the thing. The survivor drew a map. A crude map, but detailed enough. And I think I can follow it. I think I can find that chamber. And if the 1870s team found bones, maybe we'll find evidence of what happened to our team. Maybe we'll find answers. Or maybe we'll end up as more bones in that chamber. Maybe. But I'd rather die trying to find the truth than spend the rest of my life wondering. Are you in? I should have said no. Should have followed orders. Should have let it go. But these were my brothers. My team. And I couldn't abandon them, not really. Not when there was a chance, even a small chance, of understanding what happened to them. I'm in, I said. We met in Kentucky 2 days later. Civilian clothes. No official records of our travel. We were AWOL technically, but we didn't care. This was more important than regulations. Thomas McCreary agreed to help us. I think he'd been waiting for someone to go back, waiting for someone to try to find the truth. "You understand you might not come back," he said. "That chamber, the ossuary, it's deep, and getting there means passing through the part of the cave where the echo is strongest, where the voices are loudest, where it's hardest to resist." "We understand," William said. "And you still want to go?" "We have to." Thomas nodded slowly. "Then I'll guide you to the descent. But I won't go down. I'm too old, and I've resisted the echo once. I don't think I could do it again. You'll be on your own once you start descending." We entered Mammoth Cave at midnight. The tourist sections were closed. The Park Service gates were locked. But Thomas knew other entrances, ways into the cave that weren't on any official map, ways that cavers had been using for generations. It took 4 hours to reach the descent. Different route than we'd used before. Harder route. Through tight crawlways and underwater passages, but it got us there. The shaft looked the same, vertical drop into infinite darkness. Our team's rope was still there, tied to the same rock formation Johnson had used. "This is it," Thomas said. "The descent. The map says the ossuary chamber is at about 1,500 feet. Side passage on the east wall. You'll need to look carefully, easy to miss." "If we're not back in 12 hours?" I asked. "I'll report to the Park Service that 2 idiots went down against all advice and common sense. They'll seal the shaft permanently, and you'll be down there forever." He said it matter-of-factly, no judgment, just truth. Williams and I checked our gear one final time. Rope, harnesses, lights, extra batteries, emergency beacons, water, everything we could carry. "Ready?" Williams asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." We started descending. The shaft was tight, maybe 4 feet across. Limestone walls worn smooth by water over millions of years. We rappelled in stages, stopping every 100 feet to rest and check equipment. At 200 feet, I heard the first whisper. My father's voice, distant, barely audible. "David, come find me." I ignored it, kept descending. At 400 feet, the whispers got louder. Multiple voices. Family, friends, people I'd lost. All calling to me from below, telling me to hurry, to come deeper, to find them. Williams was hearing them too. I could see it in his face, the strain of resisting, the desire to believe they were real. "Don't listen," I told him. "It's the echo, it's not real." "I know," he said, "but it sounds so real." At 600 feet, we found Martinez's harness, just like the search and rescue team had reported. Abandoned on a rock ledge. No sign of Martinez herself. No blood, no struggle, just the harness neatly placed, like she'd taken it off carefully and walked away. "Why would she take off her harness?" Williams asked. "In the middle of a descent, that's suicide." "Unless she thought she didn't need it anymore," I suggested. "Unless the voices convinced her she was safe, that she was home, that she could just walk into the darkness without equipment." We kept descending. Chen's gear at 1,100 feet, Shaw's at 1,200, Johnson's at 1,300. All neatly abandoned, all showing no signs of struggle or panic, like they'd made a conscious decision to remove their safety equipment and continue deeper without it. At 1,400 feet, we reached the point where the official search had stopped. Below this, no one from the rescue team had gone. Below this, we were in territory that hadn't been explored in over 150 years. "The map says the side passage should be at 1,500 feet, Williams said, checking the crude drawing we'd copied from the 1870s journal. East wall, Look for a horizontal crack about 3 feet high. We descended the last 100 feet slowly, scanning the walls with our headlamps, looking for any opening. And at 1,520 feet we found it, a horizontal crack in the east wall, maybe 2.5 feet high, easy to miss if you weren't looking for it, easy to pass right by in the darkness. "That's it," Williams said. "Has to be." We secured our rope to a rock formation and crawled into the crack. It was tight, uncomfortably tight, the kind of space that makes you wonder if you'll get stuck, if you'll be trapped in rock with no way forward and no way back. But after about 20 feet, the crack opened up, became a passage, low ceiling, but wide enough to crawl comfortably. We followed it for what felt like an hour, maybe 2. Time loses meaning in absolute darkness. And then the passage opened into a chamber. The ossuary. Our headlamps swept across a space that was maybe 60 feet across, high ceiling disappearing into darkness above. And bones. Hundreds, no, thousands of bones. Human skeletons scattered across the floor, some intact, some jumbled together, some arranged in deliberate patterns, all of them old, some very old. Clothing rotted away to nothing. Leather goods decayed to dust. Only the bones remained. And every single skeleton, every single one, was positioned facing deeper into the chamber, facing a dark passage at the far end. Like they'd all died walking toward something, drawn by something, unable to stop even as they died. "Jesus Christ," Williams whispered. I moved through the chamber, trying not to step on bones, examining them with my headlamp. Some of the skeletons wore remnants of clothing I recognized. Colonial era, Civil War era, early 1900s. Modern clothing, too. Recent deaths mixed with ancient ones. And in one corner, I found what I was looking for, what I'd been dreading to find. 4 bodies. Recent. Still wearing shredded remains of Marine Corps uniforms. Johnson, Martinez, Chen, Shaw. They'd made it this far, down the descent, through the side passage, into the ossuary, and they'd died here, like everyone else who'd followed the echo into the depths. But unlike the older skeletons, these 4 weren't fully skeletal yet. They'd only been dead for 3 weeks, and I could see how they died. They were positioned like they'd been walking, moving toward that dark passage at the far end of the chamber, still trying to follow the voices even as their bodies gave out. Johnson's hand was outstretched, reaching toward the darkness. Martinez had fallen mid-step. Chen and Shaw were almost at the passage entrance. They'd followed the echo all the way to the end, and they'd died still believing they'd find their loved ones if they just went a little deeper. "We found them," William said quietly. "We can recover the bodies, give them proper burials. Look at the others," I replied. "Look at how many there are. The echo's been doing this for centuries, maybe thousands of years, calling people down here, luring them with voices, and they all end up in this chamber, all facing deeper, all trying to reach something that doesn't exist." Williams walked toward the dark passage at the far end of the chamber, the passage all the skeletons faced. "What's down there? What's at the end?" "Don't," I grabbed his arm. "Don't go near that passage. That's where the echo comes from. That's where it lives." As if in response to my words, the voices started. Not whispers anymore, full volume, crystal clear, coming from that dark passage, a chorus of voices. Every voice that had ever called someone into these caves, every voice the echo had ever stolen. My father, my grandmother, my friends, Martinez's girlfriend, Chen's brother, Johnson's father, Shaw's mother, and hundreds more, thousands, all calling at once, all saying the same thing. Come deeper. Come find us. Come home. We're here. We're waiting. Just a little further. Come deeper. The sound was overwhelming, irresistible. Every voice perfectly mimicked. Every emotion perfectly captured. The echo was using every weapon it had, every voice it had collected over centuries of luring people to their deaths. And I wanted to go. God help me. I wanted to follow those voices. Wanted to walk into that passage and find everyone I'd ever lost. Wanted to believe that they were really there, really waiting, really calling me home. Williams was walking toward the passage, moving slowly, like someone in a trance. "They're there," he said. "I can hear them, my brother, my mom, they're right there. Just a little deeper." I tackled him, pulled him down. He fought me, trying to get free, trying to reach that passage. But I held on. "It's not real," I shouted. "Williams, it's not real. Your brother is dead. Your mom is dead. They're not down there." "But I can hear them." "You're hearing the echo. It's mimicking them. It's using their voices to lure you. Don't you see? This whole chamber is full of people who believed the same thing, who followed the voices, who died trying to reach something that isn't real." Williams stopped struggling, looked around at the thousands of bones, at Johnson and Martinez and Chen and Shaw lying among them, at the evidence of centuries of death. "Oh God," he whispered. "Oh God, you're right." The voices continued, calling, pleading, commanding, promising, threatening, using every psychological trick, every emotional manipulation, trying to make us follow. But we didn't. We closed our ears, closed our hearts, and we started backing out of the chamber, moving toward the tight passage that led back to the descent, back to the surface, back to the world. As we crawled through that passage, I heard one final voice, my own voice, coming from the chamber behind us. "David, David Reeves, you can't leave. You belong here. Come back. Come deeper." The echo was using my voice now, calling to myself, trying one last trick, but I kept crawling, kept moving away from that chamber, away from the voices, away from the passage where something ancient and hungry waited in darkness. We reached the descent shaft, started ascending hand over hand, fighting exhaustion, fighting the desire to just let go, to fall back down, to give in. It took 8 hours to climb 1,500 feet. We were beyond exhausted, running on adrenaline and fear. But we made it. Thomas was waiting at the top. He took one look at our faces and knew. "You found it, the ossuary." "We found it," I confirmed. "And we found our team. They're dead, all 4 of them, along with hundreds of others, maybe thousands, all killed by the echo, all lured to their deaths by voices they trusted." "Did you see it, the echo itself?" "No. But we heard it. We heard it use every voice it's ever collected, and we know where it lives now. That passage at the end of the chamber. That's where it is. That's where it's been for God knows how long." Thomas nodded slowly. "Then you did what no one else has done. You went to the ossuary and came back. The last person who managed that was the 1870s surveyor, and he went insane 6 months later. Died in an asylum, still hearing voices calling to him from the cave. "We need to tell someone," William said. "The authorities need to know. Need to seal that section permanently. Need to make sure nobody else goes down there." "Who would believe you?" Thomas asked. "You have no proof except your word, and you went down there illegally, against orders. You'll be court-martialed if you report this officially." He was right. We had no evidence, no proof, just our story, And a story about an ancient entity that mimics voices and lures people to their deaths isn't something the military or the Park Service wants to hear. So we stayed silent. Officially silent. Let the official story stand. Training accident. Lost in unmapped cave systems. Bodies not recovered. But unofficially we told the story. Told other Marines. Told park rangers who would listen. Told anyone who might one day be assigned to cave training at Mammoth Cave. And Thomas made sure the old cavers' networks knew. Made sure the knowledge was passed down. Made sure new generations understood the rule. Never yell in the deep caves. Never follow voices that call from the darkness. Never go down the descent. Because the echo is still there, still calling, still collecting voices, still luring people to the ossuary where thousands of bones face that dark passage, still waiting for the next person who's foolish enough to believe that their lost loved ones are waiting in the depths. And it will keep doing this forever. Unless someone finds a way to stop it. Unless someone figures out what it is and how to kill it. But that's not me. I've done my part. I found my team, I learned the truth, and I survived. That's enough. Williams and I were both court-martialed 6 months after our unauthorized descent into Mammoth Cave. Not for going into the cave. The Marine Corps never officially acknowledged we'd done that. We were charged with being AWOL for 3 days, with failure to report to assigned duties, with conduct unbecoming. The real reason was that we'd asked too many questions, pushed too hard for official investigation into what happened to our team, refused to accept the training accident narrative, made people uncomfortable. We both took other than honorable discharges, not quite dishonorable, but not the honorable endings we'd earned through years of service. The Marine Corps wanted us gone, wanted us quiet, wanted the Mammoth Cave incident buried along with Johnson and Martinez and Chen and Shaw. But we didn't stay quiet. We couldn't. I moved back to North Carolina, got a job working search and rescue in the Appalachian Mountains. It seemed appropriate, and it let me warn people. Let me tell hikers and cavers about the real dangers, the ones that aren't in the guidebooks. Williams went to work for the National Park Service. Different park, different state. But he does the same thing I do. Warns people. Tells the stories. Makes sure the next generation knows that some places in this world aren't safe, that some legends exist for reasons. We stay in contact. Monthly calls. Checking in. Making sure the other one is still sane, still resisting the voices. Because even now, 3 years later, we both hear them sometimes. I'll be hiking alone in the mountains, and I'll hear my father calling from a cave entrance. I'll hear my grandmother's voice echoing from a ravine. I'll hear friends and family and people I've lost calling to me from dark places. The echo followed us out. Or maybe we brought part of it with us. Maybe when you go that deep into its territory, when you hear that many voices, when you resist that hard, maybe it marks you somehow. Maybe it doesn't let you forget. Williams says the same thing happens to him. He'll be conducting a safety check in a cave system, and he'll hear voices from the depths, calling his name, using his brother's voice, his mother's voice, trying to lure him deeper. We've learned to live with it, learned to recognize the difference between a real sound and the echo's influence, learned to resist the pull. But it's hard. Some days it's very hard. Thomas McCreary died 8 months ago. Heart attack. Natural causes. He was 75 years old and had spent his entire life guiding people through Mammoth Cave, keeping them safe, keeping them away from the deep sections, keeping the knowledge alive. At his funeral, I met other old cavers, men and women in their 60s and 70s who'd spent decades exploring caves across Appalachia. And every single one of them had a story about hearing voices in the deep caves, about passages that called to them, about friends who'd gone deeper and never came back. The echo isn't just in Mammoth Cave. It's in other cave systems too. Or maybe there are multiple echoes, multiple entities, ancient things that live in the deepest, darkest places and call to humans with voices they trust. One old caver from Tennessee told me about Nickajack Cave. Said there's a passage there that sounds like a church choir singing. Beautiful voices, hymns and spirituals, and people have followed that singing deeper into the cave, and they've never been found. Another woman from West Virginia talked about a coal mine near her hometown, abandoned since the 1950s. Locals say you can hear miners calling for help from deep in the shafts, and rescue teams have gone in to save them. And those rescue teams have disappeared too, because there are no trapped miners, just something that sounds like trapped miners. The echo, or things like it, exist in dark places all over Appalachia. All over the world, probably. Anywhere humans go underground. Anywhere the darkness is absolute and sound behaves strangely. And they've been luring people to their deaths for centuries. Maybe for as long as humans have been exploring caves. Maybe longer. The Mammoth Cave section where the descent is located remains officially sealed. The Park Service lists it as geologically unstable on their maps. Tour guides are instructed to keep tourists away from that area. Rangers patrol it regularly to make sure nobody tries to enter. But people still disappear. Not from the descent, that's too well guarded now, but from other parts of Mammoth Cave, from the vast unmapped sections, from the 400 miles of passages that aren't on any official tour. Last year, 3 experienced cavers went into an unexplored section. They had proper equipment, proper training, proper safety protocols. They were supposed to be back in 6 hours. They never came back. Search teams found their gear abandoned in a chamber 2 miles from any known entrance. Found their ropes still secured. Found their supplies untouched. But no bodies. No sign of what happened to them. The Park Service called it a tragic accident. Said they must have gotten disoriented and fallen into an unmapped pit. Said the cave system is too complex to recover them safely. But I know what really happened. They heard the echo. They followed voices into the deep caves. And now they're bones in some chamber, facing a dark passage, having died trying to reach something that doesn't exist. It keeps happening, will keep happening, because you can't kill the echo. You can't destroy something that lives in sound, that exists in voices, that uses your own memories and emotions as weapons against you. All you can do is avoid it, respect it, and warn others. That's why I'm telling this story. Why I'm breaking the silence the Marine Corps tried to impose. Why I'm risking whatever consequences might come from going public. Because people need to know. People need to understand that Mammoth Cave isn't just a tourist attraction. That it's not just a geological formation. That there's something in those deep passages that's been killing humans for as long as humans have been going underground. And it's still there. Still calling, still collecting voices, still luring people to the ossuary where thousands of skeletons face that dark passage. Still waiting for the next person foolish enough to think that echoes are just sound bouncing off rock. If you ever visit Mammoth Cave, stay on the tourist routes. Stay with the guides. Stay in the mapped sections. Don't ask about the sealed passages. Don't wonder what's in the deep caves. Don't try to explore on your own. And if you hear a voice calling from the darkness, even if it's a voice you recognize, even if it's someone you love, even if it sounds exactly right, don't follow it. Don't answer it. Don't go deeper. Because it's not real. It's never real. It's the echo. And it will kill you. I still have nightmares about the ossuary, about the thousands of bones, about Johnson and Martinez and Chen and Shaw lying among them, about how they died still reaching toward that dark passage, still believing they'd find their loved ones if they just went a little bit deeper. and I have nightmares about what's in that passage, about what the echo actually is. Because I don't think it's a natural phenomenon. I don't think it's just acoustic anomalies or sound distortion or any scientific explanation. I think it's alive. I think it's intelligent. I think it's been in those caves for a very long time. Maybe since before humans existed. Maybe since before anything existed down there except darkness and rock and silence. And I think it's hungry not for food, for something else, for the voices it collects, for the lives it takes, for the souls, if such things exist, of the people who follow its call into the depths. I've researched everything I can find about Mammoth Cave, about the history of disappearances, about the earliest recorded encounters with the echo, and the evidence goes back thousands of years. Native American tribes in the region have legends about cave spirits, about voices that call from underground, about people who go into certain caves and never return. They marked some cave entrances as taboo, forbidden, places where humans shouldn't go. Early European explorers reported similar experiences. Journals from the 1700s mention strange sounds in the deep caves and voices that speak from the darkness. Several expeditions into Mammoth Cave ended in tragedy. People vanished. Entire teams disappeared. The official records blame getting lost or cave-ins. But some of the surviving journals tell different stories. Stories about voices, about being called deeper, about friends who walked into darkness and never came back. The Floyd Collins incident in 1925, when a caver got trapped in a narrow passage and died before rescuers could reach him, might have been the echo's work too. Collins was an experienced caver. He knew those caves better than anyone. What made him go into that dangerous passage? What made him push forward into a space that was obviously too tight? Maybe he heard something calling. Maybe he was trying to reach a voice. And now, modern cavers continue to disappear. Despite better equipment, despite better training, despite all the warnings and protocols and safety measures, they still hear the echo, still follow it, still die in those deep passages, because the echo knows exactly what to say, knows exactly which voice will break you, knows exactly which memories to use. It's had thousands of years to perfect its technique, thousands of years to learn human psychology, thousands of years to understand what makes us trust a voice, what makes us follow it into the dark. I wonder sometimes if the bones in the ossuary are all of the echo's victims, or just a fraction. How many other chambers are there in the unmapped sections of Mammoth Cave? How many more collections of skeletons facing dark passages? How many people have died down there over the millennia? Thousands, certainly. Maybe tens of thousands, maybe more. And it's still happening, right now, today. Somewhere in Mammoth Cave or in another cave system, the echo is calling to someone, using a trusted voice, making promises it will never keep, luring them deeper and deeper until they're lost and dying, and still believing they'll find their loved ones if they just keep walking toward that voice. Williams and I have talked about going back, about descending to the ossuary one more time, about trying to find the source, about going down that dark passage where all the bones are facing, about confronting the echo directly, but we always decide against it, because we know we wouldn't come back. No, we couldn't resist that close to the source. No, the echo is strongest in that passage. And we've resisted enough. We've been lucky enough. We've survived when we shouldn't have. Pushing our luck would be suicide. So instead, we warn people. We tell the story. We make sure others know what's really in those caves. And we hope it's enough. Hope it saves someone. Hope the next generation of cavers will be more careful, more respectful, more willing to believe the old warnings. But I'm not optimistic. Because humans are curious. We're explorers. We push boundaries. We test limits. We think we're smarter than the people who came before us. We think our equipment and training and scientific knowledge will protect us from things that science can't explain, and that arrogance will keep feeding the echo. Keep adding bones to the ossuary. Keep proving that some things in this world are older and smarter and more dangerous than we can imagine. Last week, I heard my own voice calling from a cave near my home in North Carolina. My own voice saying, "David, come back. Come deeper. You know you want to. You know you're curious. Come see what's really in the darkness." It's spreading, or I'm losing my mind, or the echo marked me so deeply that I'll never be free of it. I don't know which, and I'm not sure it matters. What matters is that I'm telling you this now, warning you, giving you the information that could save your life if you're ever near a deep cave, if you're ever exploring underground, if you're ever in a place where sound behaves strangely and darkness is absolute. If you hear a voice calling from the darkness, any voice, any words, any tone, don't follow it. Don't answer it. Don't trust it. Get away from that cave as fast as you can, because the echo is real and it will kill you. Johnson, Martinez, Chen, and Shaw learned that lesson too late. So did thousands of others over thousands of years. So did 3 cavers last year. So will more people in the future. But maybe not you. Maybe you'll remember this story. Maybe you'll remember the warning. Maybe you'll resist when the echo calls. And maybe you'll live. The Mammoth Cave Visitor Center has my photo on a wall, part of a memorial to those who gave their lives in service of cave exploration and rescue. There's a plaque with Johnson's name, Martinez's name, Chen's name, Shaw's name. The plaque says they died in a training accident, says they were heroic Marines who made the ultimate sacrifice while learning to save others. It doesn't say they were lured to their deaths by something ancient and evil. It doesn't say they're still down there in the ossuary with thousands of other victims. It doesn't say the thing that killed them is still alive and still calling. But now you know. Now you understand. Now you've been warned. Don't go into the deep caves. Don't yell in the darkness. Don't follow voices that call from unmapped passages. And if you hear someone you love calling to you from underground, telling you to come deeper, telling you they're waiting, telling you to just walk a little further into the darkness, run. Run as fast as you can. Run toward the light. Run toward the surface. Run toward safety, because the echo never stops, never rests, never releases the voices it's collected. And if you follow it deep enough, your voice will be added to the chorus. Your voice will call to the next person, will lure the next victim, will help the echo kill again, forever.